Hello, dear friends of Kabala International. We are once again with Mario Sabán.
How are you? My pleasure.
Very good. It is also a pleasure for me to be here with you. Today we are going to talk about the existential void, and this question. We know that there is a state of loneliness of the inner self that is inherent to one's existence. But in the concept of existential void also dwells the concept of tehom, the abyss, and I wanted to begin with the following question. What is it and where is the border that separates us from the abyss? Depending on that sense of loneliness inherent in our existence and the abyss.
Look, the dangerous thing about existential emptiness is when it happens to a very young person. An older person has more resources to get out of the existential void. A young person has a less constructed identity, and therefore it is more difficult for him or her to get out of it. The question is, why does it happen? What is existential emptiness? The universe is empty. Well, it is full, but at the same time the foundation, the basis, is that there is more vacuum than matter. Physicists know this, and from the Kabbalah it has been known for centuries. Therefore, why does the vacuum exist? The vacuum exists as a container of information. Let's take an example from our life. If we have an empty glass, it is so that the glass can receive water or so that it can receive another liquid. You cannot make a glass in which nothing can enter. A covered glass is useless. It does not fulfill its function. It means that the function of the glass is the vacuum that the glass has. What is the function of a bottle? The same, the emptiness. And what is the biological function that we have? Why do we live? We live because we have a vacuum in our mouth. That's why we can eat, because we have voids in our nose and we have different voids. We can live because of these holes that we have inside the body. If any of these holes start to malfunction or become clogged, we have a problem. So, see if you analyze the created. Everything created is a function of emptiness. The vacuum gives me life. The vacuum makes the vessel fulfill its function. As a container, the vacuum is a vessel. Now the question is, why does the person feel empty? Because in reality, there is an emptiness also in the soul. The soul has to receive information because it has to receive light. Sometimes that emptiness can be felt even more when the person has a lot of time available. For this reason, the Kabbalists say that leisure is the mother of all transgressions, of all imbalances, because when a person has a lot of time on his hands, he doesn't know what to do with so much time, and he can become unbalanced. And why do they dream of having time on their hands? To do what their soul came to them to communicate, their meaning. Now, if the person has no sense for which he came to this world and has time available, then we are facing a drama. That is the existential void. The existential void is when the person feels the emptiness, and as he has not yet found the meaning of his life, he does not know how to fill it. Then he starts to fill it with a lot of things. For example, he starts to fill it with the matter, he starts to fill it with sex and alcohol, and he can fill it with anything. The question is to fill that time, because he does not know how to fill it. They are people desperate to fill time, people who have children to fill that void. That is why, many times, existential emptiness appears when children leave home. What the soul has to do is to find its meaning in life, because if the person does not find the meaning of his life, existential emptiness appears. If the person finds the meaning of his life, then the existential void does not appear, because that void is available to be filled with what the soul brings as information. If my soul has brought as information studying Kabbalah and giving Kabbalah classes, all my available time is going to be filled with my passion, with the meaning of my life. I will be reading Kabbalah books, I will be teaching Kabbalah classes, and therefore I will have no way to feel existential emptiness. When does existential emptiness appear? When I have an empty time that I don't know how to fill. In other words, a time that is deaf, blind, and mute, where there is an emptiness of time, where boredom and ennui can occur, where uneasiness can occur. Because I don't know why I am here, I don't know what I live for. Then the available time of my life is at the service of nothing. If I do not know what my life is at the service of, then it is at the service of nothing. Therefore, I am a permanent bore, a permanent uneasy, a person who renounces any activity, because any activity is to cover up something that he does not know how to fill. Therefore, two types of actions occur. Evasive actions. There is no meaning in my life, and I throw myself into unrestrained action without conscience, just to fill that emptiness. I fill myself with activities to fill the void. Or, I let the emptiness appear and fill the void with conscious activities related to the meaning of my life. Then, look at what happens in real life. You go out on the street, and you see a lot of people going from here to there. The funny thing is that we are all going to end up in the cemetery. But, well, they all go from here to there in an unbridled movement. They do not want to be alone, because they will find that their life has no meaning. So they move and fill their time with activity. They are activities at the service of the evasion of meaning, and some people move because they have found meaning, and their movements are related to meaning. Therefore, what you see in movement is never real, because you don't know who is moving with consciousness and who is moving fleeing from their consciousness. There is an anecdote of a Polish Kabbalist who sees a person who is running very fast, and asks him, "Where are you going?" Then the person answers, "I am looking for a job." And the Kabbalist says, "And if your work is behind you, you are running away from work. You are not looking for it, because you are running backward. So we have to know where the activities we develop in life are going." Do I have a lot of time on my hands, and am I covering it up? Or why have I not yet built up the time available to devote to actions related to the meaning of my life? Therefore, be careful with the actions we are performing. Many people perform focused actions because they know the meaning of their life, and avoidance actions. The one who performs avoidance actions, when you stop doing actions, you find yourself in a terrible existential vacuum. Look at what happened in the pandemic. People got locked up. They stopped running for nowhere. People found themselves alone, at home, or else they found themselves with someone. A lot of people connected with that existential void because they said, "What now? What will become of my life?" They found themselves. It was very problematic for many people to find themselves locked up with themselves. Many people complained that they had no time, and there they had all the time in the world. They had 24 hours to be with themselves, and these people found themselves in the existential void. Who am I? Am I a person who is permanently running in my life, escaping from not having defined my life? There they became aware of the existential void, and many came out of it changing their lives. From the moment they became aware. Others, however, when the pandemic ended, returned to the rush, returned to those actions that I call actions of evasion of meaning.
I found interesting the analogy you explained about the Polish Kabbalist, about that person who was running, because of course in that running, in that walking, linked to all this that you were saying, the concept of sense going towards a place, the sense going towards a place was implicit. Besides, I was also interested in commenting that the word sense can also be perceived, interpreted, or analyzed from something that was felt by one, that is to say, something that one felt previously, that has allowed you to to go to a certain place?
First, it is a change of perception. It is a contact with your inner self, which allows you to focus on where you are going. The sense of the path. That is why Cordovero, one of the great Kabbalists of the 16th century, said, "The intention marks the direction." For me, it's a phrase that says it all. A small phrase. Intention sets the direction. When you have an intention, of course in advance, then you set the direction where the action is going to go. But if you have no intention, where does the direction go? We see people in life running here, running there. 20 years go by. They call me, they write me and say, "You know, I have worked so hard in my life. I have moved so much, and I have no results. I don't know where I'm going." Of course, he does not know where he is going since he started running. What should be done with children in education, in kindergarten, in primary school, in secondary school, in high school, what should be done in education in general, is first that each boy, each girl, or each young person becomes aware of where he or she is going to invest his or her life. And of course, who is aware of this at school? Schools are grades, study, a system based solely on race for results. There is no reflection on what I'm going to do with my life, because if you make a reflection when you are a child about where your life is going, what you are causing, first of all is a great valuation of your own life. And then you are going to start setting the direction of what your life is going to be in general. Therefore, it is very interesting that people know that the existential emptiness they feel is something logical. It is something that happens because the ego has to decenter itself. The ego does not have to take substitutes to cover that existential emptiness, and what it has to do is to feel that the emptiness has a function. Until the person does not understand the function of emptiness, he will not understand what he has to do with it. Imagine that you do not know the concept of a glass, and you are presented with a glass. You don't know whether to wear it as a hat. You don't know what to do with that glass, until someone explains to you what the glass is for. You don't know that the whole function of the glass doesn't have to do with the shape of the glass, it has to do with the emptiness of the glass. So of course, until people understand the function of the vacuum that the glass has, they will never know what the glass is for. Until we understand the function of the emptiness that we have inside us, we will not know what it is for and what it is at the service of. The meaning appears, it reveals itself to me after an inner work. The inner work that must be done to reveal the meaning is a very interesting subject that we can talk about for a long time. When the meaning of one's life is revealed to him, what he is saying is, now I know how to fill my emptiness. Look, Nacho, I don't want to be self-referential, but to explain this, I have no other option. When someone reaches meaning, he doesn't have time to complete his whole project. That is to say, all the time available. Is totally imbued with the meaning of his own life. He has no time because all his time is at the disposal of the passion of his life, at the disposal of meaning. Now, what is the point? The point is that this person achieves something very important. Happiness. This is true happiness. It is not drinking more alcohol or buying more stuff. True happiness is knowing that a person's meaning in life is being fulfilled and that his or her passion is being developed. How many people do we find who are working on things that have nothing to do with their life's mission? Those people are empty. Those people are very empty. There are a lot of people who are very empty, without meaning, without knowing what that emptiness is for. That is to say, it is an emptiness of ignorance, and that is why they feel the emptiness negatively. When they feel that emptiness, we give it meaning. We do not cease to have emptiness. Emptiness still exists, but it is no longer an existential emptiness. The emptiness has been filled with consciousness, and then that emptiness is transformed into the crown, into Keter. This is the difference between the abyss and Keter, between Tehom and the crown. What is the difference? The difference is when you feel an emptiness in the service of nothing that you do not understand, life becomes absurd. You say, but who made me be born in this life? What is this life? eating, living, and having the best time possible? What is this life all about? Because deep down, existential emptiness puts you in front of life and death. It puts you in front of life has meaning or life has no meaning. The second option is a death in installments. This is not a death in installments. Physically it is, but from the point of view of meaning, you are going to find eternal life. Within the sense, because the sense connects you with the sense of the whole universe, not only with your subjective sense, it is still much more sublime than finding the sense in the subjective. Then you find that you are repairing the universe, that you are participating in the universe in rectification. So be careful, because the question of existential emptiness is key to, if I cannot understand the existential void, I may end up in Amalek. Absolute evil can appear precisely when someone affirms that this does not make any sense. Therefore, when someone enters the void, from the point of view of the spirituality of Kabbalah, we tell him that this void has a function. Just because he does not yet understand the function does not mean that it does not have one. He still doesn't understand it. He has the glass but does not know what it is for. If he has the glass, let him know that it serves him. If he is living, let him know that this life is a function of something he has not yet discovered. The fact that he has not yet discovered it does not mean that it does not exist. He has not discovered the meaning because he does not yet have the tools to discover it, but when he discovers it, he will go from the absurdity of this existence, which is where the existential void leads me, to total meaning. In a moment of life, everything and nothingness is at stake. And this game of all or nothing is marked by how we pass the existential void.
Thank you, Mario.
A pleasure. Shalom.